I'm going to be talking to you guys about is Zia Search. So hopefully I can show you guys maybe a few things that you didn't realize Zia Search could do. All right, so to start off, I feel like any story that involves search cannot end without mentioning, the biggest name in search, Google. So once upon a time, back in 1997, this is what Google's homepage looked like. And Google was a very, very simple tool. You just typed in some stuff, it would spit out some web pages. I don't think they had even indexed the whole internet and everyone's information yet back then. And search was just kind of like a new idea at that time. But, things have actually changed. Obviously, we've come a long way since 1997. So, the real story that I want to tell you is about how Google changed and how search changed. And then what I'm going to talk about is how search for business has changed. So this story involves a few things. The year 2000, the Grammys. Are we getting more excited? Jennifer Lopez is also in the story. So back in 2000, it was a different time. It was a simpler time. And Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, she went to the Grammys wearing a green dress. And this green dress was so interesting to the people who lived back in this era, so enticing to the people who lived back in this ancient time that they needed to know more about the dress. And specifically, they wanted to see pictures of Jennifer Lopez wearing the dress. So after the Grammys were over and everyone was very excited about J-Lo's new green dress, they took to Google and they started typing in Jennifer Lopez Grammy dress, Jennifer Lopez green dress. And so Google saw that there was this huge spike in searches for one particular thing. And they realized when they saw this huge spike in their data that people weren't searching for J-Lo's dress to read a bunch of text about J-Lo's dress. They were searching because they wanted to see a photo of J-Lo's dress. And so it has actually been documented that Google image search was invented because of this dress. They saw this huge spike and they suddenly realized search doesn't just have to be something that searches web pages. You can actually search for specific types of media, and this is something that a lot of people want to do, right? And so it didn't end there, though. After they made Google image search, now we had Google video search, we have Google flight search, we have all kinds of different ways to search through the internet, right? And so the realization that they hit upon is that search isn't just this dumb little utility. Search is a whole application. Search is the way that people interact with the internet, right? I think most sessions on the internet probably start with some kind of search. And so, there's a bunch of great examples of clever ways that Google has made use of this. So this is something I didn't even realize until recently, but you can just search for a tip and then a dollar amount, and then Google brings up this little thing where you can put in your percentage and how many people you want to split it with, and Google will actually break it down and split the tip for you, or split the whole bill for you. So whenever you're out at a restaurant, that's pretty convenient. This is something I use a lot of the time. You can convert currencies on Google, and they will do that for you automatically without having to open the first result. Or, they can also integrate search into the context of your personal life. So a lot of us use Gmail, for instance. And so if you book a flight and you're sent a confirmation email and it lands in your Gmail, what you can actually do is you can just go to Google and search Madrid itinerary, and it will actually pull up in this search of the whole internet. It'll have this little box at the top that tells me, hey, your flight, it's on May 9th at 8 a.m. This is the flight number. So they've come up with all kinds of ways to make search more useful, to make it a bigger tool than just a simple text box. So, why am I talking about Google? I'm a Zoho evangelist, not a Google evangelist. The reason is that I think this kind of gives you a lot of context where you see hey, Google search, Google in general, they've had all this innovation over the last 20 years. They've come up with all these different things that are a big part of a lot of people's day-to-day lives. But how come we never ever hear about search in the business context? I think the biggest reason that we never hear anyone really talking about it is because, other than Zoho, nobody else is really trying to do it. So all those companies that are making a bunch of noise about whatever software they're working on, usually they don't say anything about search because they don't really have a good story to tell. But Zoho has a good story to tell, and that's what I want to tell you guys today. So the reason nobody's really talking about search is because most software providers are not providing the scope of software that Zoho can give you. This is a photo that shows you all of the different SaaS technology companies as of April last year. There's 7,000 of them or something. And so this is actually an image that shows all of their logos and it's sorted by category. And it's just kind of mind-boggling to think about. Now, obviously, there's maybe a top 20 apps that are getting most people's business, but still, the fact remains that most vendors are only providing one, maybe two solutions tops. Nobody is really in the business of running your entire business. And so the reason that nobody is really talking about search is because for most businesses, when they go to set up all of their software and to set up all of their operations, it looks something like this. We call this the integration spaghetti. And it's because you end up getting all of these tools, you end up getting all these solutions provided by different vendors, and you go, I'm just going to buy whatever I think looks coolest for whatever particular need, and now all of a sudden I have 10 different applications, and most of them don't talk to each other, and now I have to figure out how to make these tools talk to each other, and suddenly I realize that I'm wasting a bunch of money and I'm wasting a bunch of time just trying to get these tools to do the things that I want them to do. And so this is the reason that no one is talking about search, and it's because no one else can really have one platform for every part of your business, and building search is a complicated job. So search across an entire business can only really be done if you're using one platform to run your business. You need all of the information under the roof of one vendor, because otherwise it's just too technically complicated to type in a search and have it go through 5 different databases provided by 5 different companies that don't really agree on anything, and in fact are probably competing over a lot of the same things. So Google's platform, when you think about it, is really the web. And so the reason that Google is able to do these tremendously complicated searches and to search such a vast amount of information is because the web is this place where we have these set standards, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? Which is just a nerd's way of saying every server and every website should have certain things that always work the same way, because otherwise the internet would be impossible to use, and it would be incredibly complicated to access any information. And so, Google can search everything because they have these standards in place to work with. But for business, you have to be using one platform to have that same kind of experience, to have enough standards across the board where you can actually search through all your information. So, what I'm about to talk to you about is something that is 10 years in the making, just to give you an idea of how immensely technically complicated it was to put together ZS Search. All right, how many of you have ever had this problem? Somebody has sent you a message at some point that is now important 3 weeks later, and you need to find this message, and you cannot remember where it was sent. Was it an email? Was it in a chat? Was it on like some kind of internal social network thing? Was it like a text message? Where the heck is that message? How many people have had this problem? Yeah, it's funny because I had planned this out, weeks ago, but I was just sitting over there trying to book a flight, and I was like, Taylor, where did you send me this message? And I was using Zia Search, and then I realized that he had sent it in a text message, so that was the one thing Zia Search couldn't go through. But if he had sent it on any kind of Zoho tool, then I would have been able to find it. So when you can't remember where a message was sent, you can just go to search.zoho.com, and what you can do is you can use Zia Search to search through a whole bunch of different applications. And in particular, if we're talking about the message context, we have Zoho Mail, our email, Zoho Click, which is like our chat service, and Zoho Connect, our internal social network. So if I wanted to find a message that somebody wrote about a customer named Aaron Peters, I could just search his name in here, and we see a whole bunch of information comes up. So first thing, any emails where this guy has been mentioned are pulled up right here inside the Zia Search interface. So we can see there's some automated messages from Zoho Desk that mention his name, and I can also see a message that Bessie Kennedy has written me where she talks about this marketing opportunity with this particular customer. And then what's cool about this is, I could open this up inside Zoho Mail if I wanted to and have a full screen Zoho Mail. But also, let's say, oh yes, this was the message I was looking for. I could just hit reply and write my response from inside Zia Search. So you can start to see how Zia Search kind of becomes the Google for your business. It kind of consolidates all these things from a bunch of different places, and it allows you to take action on those things. So I could write a message to Bessie and say, oh, thanks for informing me, blah, 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 and I can send that out from the search itself, which is pretty cool. Other stuff I could do, I could forward it, I could hit a reply all, I could mark it as unread, and that's kind of cool because maybe kind of hard to see from the back, but it'll actually show me just like my inbox does. If a message is unread, it'll show up in bold. If it's read, it shows up less bold, right? So Zia Search allows you to not only find information, but take action on it. And same thing goes for some of these other messaging tools as well. So, the next one could be a click message. Maybe I wasn't sent an email. Maybe this message that I was looking for was actually in a chat. And I can see the chat where it was sent, and then I can click on this little button, this little chat icon up here that says continue chat, and then right away it pops open this chat in the toolbar at the bottom. And I could respond to Bessie because I see that she's written to us about Aaron Peters in the past, right? And then from there, if you're familiar with Click, you probably know that I could also do an audio call or a video call straight from Zoho Click. So if I don't want to have that message, I could just turn it from a search into a chat, into a video call whenever I need to, right? And then also there's Zoho Connect. So Zoho Connect is an internal social network that you can use in your company. And so in Connect, you can have you can have groups. So we could have a sales group, a marketing group, a designer group, and then people can write posts, which we can we can @mention people, we can make replies. And so you see it's kind of just organized like social media, except it's using all of the information from your Zoho accounts. So we don't have to, all be friends on Facebook, but we can be work friends on Connect. Why not? And anyways, what I really wanted to get to is that if you're using Connect over time, posts can get buried kind of deep because there's just constantly new information, new updates on there. And so Zia Search is a really good way to find a message that maybe happened months back if you want to refer to something in some message thread. All right, so that's the first problem where you might want to turn to Zia Search. What's another idea? Have you ever gone looking for some kind of document or some kind of file and you just couldn't remember what it was called. This is another example where Zia Search can be super, super useful, because Zia Search is built with all kinds of intelligence to detect, hey, you typed in this, but I think what you really could have meant was that. And so these are the same kinds of techniques that actually Google uses. And I read this interesting stat the other day that said 10 to 20% of searches on the internet, they're actually talking about Google in particular, are misspelled. And so imagine like the complexity of having to deal with that. Somebody can mistype something not just one way. There's any number of different ways that I could misspell something, right? But generally, as a human looking at a word, I can detect right away what the issue is. Computers are so literal that it's kind of challenging to get them to understand this. So with Zia Search, what you can actually do is you could put in like the name that's maybe close enough, but not quite right. So, I know we have like this contract that's for hiring graphic designers, and it's like our employment contract at this company that we always use when we bring on like someone to like do some project for us, but I just can't remember the name of that file. What do I do? Maybe I can just type in like designer in here, and I can scroll down to Zoho Docs here, and we see the graphic designer offer letter is right there. So here we go. We can pull up the contract. I can check, oh yes, this is the right thing that I was looking for. I could pop this open in Zoho Writer if I wanted to, of course, and make some changes if I need to make a change for the next person that I want to hire. Or I could just expand this if I just want like a bigger window to read the document in. I can download it, or I can just copy the link. So if I'm just searching for that to send it to someone else, I can very quickly copy the link, and then we have the chat bar down at the bottom where I could pass it along, right? What Zia will do is it can search through, every email, every click message, all your CRM information, all your documents. But what's also really cool is that it's not just using like the titles of these things. It'll actually search the full text of them. And it can even search like the full text of like a PDF that's been attached to an email. So it's kind of astonishing how much information it can sort through and spit out all these results in just like a fraction of a second. And so the way that Zia can do that is that it uses this whole like database of synonyms. So if you maybe type in one word that's kind of similar to another word, Zia in the background is actually doing a bunch of different searches and ranking them based on which one is most likely to fit your results. Or, let's say there's a word that some people write it as like every day. Some people write every space day. Some people write every day as one word. Those kinds of things, Zia can actually try both versions of that search, and because people may have written that different ways over time, all that information can be harder to find through like a traditional search, but Zia can actually figure it out. Okay, so let's jump into another example. Aaron Peters, a high-value customer, is highly upset with us, and we need to get some more information about him. What's going on with Aaron Peters? So I'll go back into Zia Search, I'll type in Aaron Peters, and I'll hit enter. So first thing, if maybe there was some message that somebody had written about Aaron Peters, that would show up, of course. But let's see what other kinds of context we can get. So one thing, we see that there's a document that's a customer case study that shows up. So I click on that, and then over on the right, it's actually loading up a Zoho show slide deck inside Zia Search. And we see that somebody has made a presentation about this case study on Aaron Peters. So if we had some kind of internal document going around about Aaron, that could maybe give us some more useful information. And then what's really cool is I could just switch in and start playing this slide deck right from the search and full screen that thing. Maybe he could also show up like in some spreadsheet, for instance. Or we could also see like his CRM details. So over here inside CRM, you'll see we have these different icons. So like this orange one that's like a contact book, that's for the Aaron Peters contact. So we could see some basic information about him. And of course, we can open this up inside Zoho CRM We can hit edit. That'll open it up in the CRM edit mode if we wanted to. We can see what kinds of deals we have with this guy. So we see that there's been a couple deals, and we see what stage they're in. So we've had one deal that's been won in the past, and we have 2 deals that we're currently working on with this guy, and we can see how far along they are and how much money they're for. We can also see any tasks related to Aaron Peters. So we can see that somebody has a call scheduled with Aaron, and we can get more details about who's calling him and when is it happening. Let's go back into that search through everything. So we know that Aaron Peters is upset. Just going into CRM alone is usually enough to find out a lot of information about someone, because I think as you've probably seen by now, CRM connects into Zoho Desk, so maybe if they had help tickets, we could see that on the Zoho CRM record. But also, we can see those help tickets just right from here, so we don't even have to go that far. So we come down to the bottom, let's hit View All on Zoho Desk. We can see that this guy has had several tickets recently, and he sounds increasingly angry. He says, "Hello, is anyone there?" That's his last message. So if I look at this message, I see he says he tried reaching our support. He was told that Bessie Kennedy was on his case. He's tried calling her, and she's not getting in touch. Uh-oh. So let's check out those other tickets now. He's found a bug with his website. So we see the ticket has been assigned to Bessie, so he was right about that. We can see the due date was April 9th, so that's the other day, and it's still open. She hasn't finished closing this out, so that's not looking good. So now, the next thing that we could maybe do is try and find out, where is Bessie Kennedy? Why hasn't Bessie been helping poor Aaron Peters out? So this is the last problem. Where in the world is Bessie Kennedy? And so, besides just being able to search for customer information, we can also search for someone who works at our company. So if I type an @ symbol, then it immediately brings up a list of everyone who is on this Zoho account, or I could just search her name. It's the same result. So when I search @Bessie, it's giving me all kinds of information. Let's try that search with her full, there we go, full information, not just in Zoho Desk. So, we see her contact information, we see her emails, her click chats, her connect posts, we see tickets that have been assigned to her. So if she was a support rep, we could see all the ones that she's responsible for. But the first thing we notice is up at the top, actually. It's this Zoho people record for Bessie Kennedy. So we see right away we have a phone number where we could reach out to her. We see maybe her phone extension, what department she's in. We see all her contact info. But you'll notice is that right next to Bessie Kennedy, it says out with a red box. So if you're using Zoho People to track the attendance of your employees, then that information also gets pulled into Zia Search. And so we could see, oh no wonder Bessie hasn't been responding. She's actually not even here. And then we could open up her Zoho People record if we wanted to get more information. We could go down to attendance, and now, oh no, she started going on vacation since April 9th, the day all those tickets came in. So maybe we haven't set up our system correctly. We've accidentally assigned a ticket even though she's not at work. Our bad. And we've solved the case. We've cracked the case of Bessie and Aaron Peters. So there's a few other things that you can do inside Zia Search that are kind of cool. So one thing we've added recently is that you can now search Zoho help docs. Well, what's cool here is that if you go to the help pages, we can search across every Zoho application. So, if I wanted to see something about checking in, and maybe I want to learn about the check-in process in Zoho Backstage. Well, we see okay, there's something about checks in Zoho Books. That's not what we really want. Checking duplicate emails in Recruit, that's not what we really want. But then there's these filters up at the top. So I'm just searching through all apps, but I could say Backstage. And now we're just filtering results just for that application, and we see there's actually a help doc all about checking in attendees in Backstage. So that's a really nice way, if you are a Zoho 1 user and you have a ton of Zoho apps, to just have one place to do that search and find some more information. Another thing that's kind of cool is that we have creator apps integrated into Zia Search as well. So what's kind of cool about this is like your creator app will just load up inside Zia Search. So if you like have an app that you're always using to like log some information, you could search, find something over in Zia Search, copy it, and then switch over here and quickly open up that form in your creator app and enter in some data. Okay. So a couple tips and tricks on Zia Search. If you want to search a particular app, besides just clicking on these things on the left, I can just do hashtag and then put in like whatever application I want to search through. So like Zoho people, I can just write hashtag people, for instance. There's also more ways to access Zia Search than you might realize. So what I've been showing you is like the full window search.zoho.com version of this. But what you may not realize is that I believe this is now in 14 different Zoho applications. If you're on Windows, you can just hit Control/ while you're on your desktop, or if you're on Mac, you hit Command/, and even if there's no like button or visual interface for Zia Search, it'll open it up in a window. So for instance, like I could go over to like Zoho CRM, for instance. Actually, here we go. There, Command/, and it brings up Zia Search in this little window. So that's kind of cool. Or if you're using Zoho Mail, we have a tiny little search icon in the bottom right corner of the screen, which I'll try and zoom into. It's way down there. So you can just click that or just hit Control/ Command/. It'll bring up Zia Search inside this little window. Or, you know, if you're using Zoho 1 and you go into that admin panel where you can launch all your apps, we have the search bar across the top of the screen there. So it's kind of subtle. You might not notice that it's there. Also, we have a mobile app. This is the mobile app for Zia Search. It's just called Zia Search. You can get it on iOS or Android. And it's pretty much works the same way as you saw on the desktop. But one of the cool things here is I could, of course, talk to it. You could speak a search instead of typing a search. So you'll be seeing more applications integrated into Zia Search. We don't quite have every Zoho app in there, but you will see more and more coming. Also, one thing that the team told me they're working on is saved searches. So if there's a search that you always want to do, maybe it's something that has a bunch of different criteria in it, you can then save that search and come back to it. So that's what they want to have in the future. Thank you.